Is our reality a simulation? An actual matrix? Can we finally prove there's life after death? And what about this alien UFO thing, really? There's a lot of cool, smart people working on this stuff, and I'm talking to them. Let's take the time to really explore bigger questions. I got the chance to sit down with Terry Cole-Whittaker. She's a legend in the field. After all this time, and after all of this spiritual evolution and all the different directions of contemporary spirituality, Terry Cole-Whittaker was still down to earth. Hi, I'm Ron James, and we're here at the Sedona Creative Life Center on the set of a new production, A Spirit of Opulence. And with me is Dr. Terry Cole-Whittaker and Dr. Stanley Otteram. Guys, thanks for being here.
Oh, wonderful being with you, Ron.
Our pleasure.
A Spirit of Opulence is a topic and a phrase and a subject that especially has a lot of relevance in today's times. But the lessons that we're teaching are not only old, but they're also crossing over through a variety of different belief systems and a variety of different approaches. So it's a really exciting time to be taking a spiritual path. How do you feel about seeing this evolve? Because you've been doing this for so long and done such a fantastic job of even helping the conscious movement to where it is today. What's it like to see your messages becoming more and more mainstream?
Well, I think it's exciting. I see also that there's a large group of the population that's kind of going in the other way. And so what is really important is for people who are really spiritually motivated out of love to really get out there and spread that message wherever they are and to live it, because we get back what we give out, and everybody's creating their new life right today by the way they think and they feel. So I'm excited about all the great people that have actually come out of my work, and see how many other people are out there. So I'm very excited about what's happening.
Now, Reverend Stanley, what's it like for you being here in Sedona, where there's so many different spiritual approaches taking place at the same time, and often they're not in unison like maybe they should be, and then you're here doing what you're doing and putting on events like this. What is that like for you?
Oh, it's a fabulous opportunity to be, as you said, in Sedona. It's such a powerful place to be. And as you mentioned, though, you said there is a variety of different things that are going on in Sedona. And I believe that there are a number of different tools to bring us back to the same place. And whatever those tools we are going to use to bring us back to truly understanding the power that is within us, and focusing on what we have in common with everyone else. And that's why Sedona is a great place to do it, because we know they're out there, and we honor whatever spiritual path you're on. And that is the idea behind a Spirit of Opulence, is being able to honor, knowing that we're all on an individual path going towards the same outcome. So our journey may be different on different paths, but we're going to end up in the same place. And that is truly honoring the Spirit within each one of us. And so that's why it's terrific to be here.
You said that so nicely.
Oh, thank you.
This is going to be perhaps an interesting question. Now, manifesting and creating your own reality, that's been the buzzwords for probably 5 or 6 years now, since it really hit mainstream with Greg Braden's work and with some of the quantum physics work, films like The Secret. And now it's finding its way into traditional Christian pulpits, and different types of religions are now grasping onto this theme and employing it. And I think that what it's doing is creating a fantastic unifying force in helping us to all come to a common understanding. Can you comment on that?
Well, it is. It's actually ancient teaching. And I study a lot of the Vedas. Veda means knowledge. And also I love the teachings of Jesus. And they're really, and I've studied all these great religions. So I love that, because it's an exciting time, because we're part of it. And we've got all these people, thinking about 2012, what's going to happen, what's going to be. And I started thinking that, it's really a wonderful time. It's an exciting time. And that all of us we really do create our own reality in that sense by how we live and what we think and what we feel. So I think it's a terrific time, all coming together.
Reverend Stanley?
Yeah, and as I see it is that what we have, in a way, there has been that shift in the dynamic personal way of looking at life around us. And we've been focusing a lot on that. Well, we've heard about the law of attraction, of being able to attract things into us. Well, we're really recognizing, and the shift that I believe that Terry and myself are talking about, and that is the idea of learning that it comes from within us. And what we're truly want to demonstrate, when we can get away from worrying about what's going on in the physical world around us and get into the aspects of really coming from the joy and the bliss and the understanding of that divine spirit within us, then the world is going to change. And the world's crying out for us to change right now. And the world, and even the earth is crying out. That's why we're seeing the challenges that are going on this planet called Earth, because we're so interconnected. And that's what everyone has proven. That's what the quantum physics is proving, and as you mentioned, Greg Brayton, that are talking about that. And really knowing that we're so interconnected that even the planet is affected by the way that we think. So can we change the way we think in the sense of being a much more positive, not even positive, but just a much more loving and compassionate
kind. If we could just
generation.
be kind, and that's a big thing, because it's this cruelty, and it comes from fear, and it comes from what I found in this judgment of good and bad all the time, judging they're bad, I'm good, my God's better than your God. It's only one God, and everybody agrees that it's one God, but they limit God by thinking God's just only going to fit in their own particular way of perceiving. So when we understand that we're all really part of that same family, and we have to get along, because that's really the teaching here, that this is the teaching of love. And I think that as we understand that as I'm a loving person, and I'm kind, and I wasn't always kind. I think I started out as kind, and then you get all kind of programmed, you get jealous and envious of people, and all of them we start to be mean, and we're going to be sarcastic, we're going to criticize, I'm going to get even with that person. And then we've got all this stuff going on in the world where we've got a lot of world leaders that don't have any understanding of kindness. And we've got people lying all the time and telling people, do this, and cheating people all the time. So we have to have the gentle people, the kind people, the loving people, to really not get all involved in that work, but stick to what they really know and what they believe, and to start living that truth of their own heart in their own lives. And the outer world's always changing anyway. It's going to change anyway. It's the nature. But it's going to change according to what our consciousness is. And so as we work on that, and I just think even that simple thing, be kind. Be kind to the dog, be kind to the cow, be kind to the horse, the elephant, be kind to the ant. Like I share my house with some ants, that if I don't keep that kitchen clean, they come in there. Now, why should I kill these people? They have a right to live. And I say, well, they annoy me. I'm living a house on an anthill, I'm sure. So I have to respect them, and I'm not going to get rid of them. But they're so determined. And I could learn a lesson from these wonderful ant people. So we got to all learn to live in harmony, and this is the kingdom of God. It is the Garden of Eden. So we need to just start living it. And that is fine.
And that, to me, it's that aspect of honoring that different creations that we're seeing, because it all comes from the same source.
Right.
So when we begin to honor that, no matter which form that it takes on, which physical form that it takes on, by honoring that, then that's and by honoring it in something else, we can honor it in ourselves. But it really starts honoring our own divinity, and then we can honor that outside ourselves. And I think that's where we're moving, because we're so grown into fear that we're afraid of ourselves. It's not what it's outside. We're afraid of what we can do and who we are. But when we get to really understand we're just a divine child of God that is here expressing the magnificence of who we are, and all of God's creations are doing the same thing.
Well, we're the caretakers, and that's what happens with the human body that we have. We're supposed to be taking care of everybody, because we have the hands, we have the intelligence to do it. And to have dominion doesn't mean that we kill them and we eat them and we destroy them. And dominion means to take care of. And so if we take care of the garden takes care of us. So when we take care of the earth, we're living in bounty, and we take care of other people. So there are people that know this. I was listening to this Catholic priest on TV this morning. He was fabulous. And he was just talking about the kindness, the gentleness, how he's lived his life. And he said, maybe I haven't done any big thing, but I've fed a lot of people, and I've given given them some cold water, and I've been ministering into the poor and helping them. So it's a time we need to have some compassion. And we got people out there who are now homeless and they don't have any food, but we're throwing away food. So, you know, this is a great time for us to really make leaps and bounds in our spirituality and bringing forth the greatness that is within us.
So one of the really interesting things that's happening right now is as quantum physics and science is evolving, they're proving mathematically that we cannot have this universe and this reality without there being some kind of intelligent design. So what we're seeing is the early stages of the fusion of science and spirit into a common human understanding. And I know that for people that have been working on this for years and years and saying it all the way back to, of course, you know, ancient societies.
Well, it started as one, and then it divided.
What's it like to see that happening in popular culture for you personally?
Well, I'm excited about it. See, I used to be very interested in science because I didn't really understand God, and I didn't know, you know, the personage of God and all of that sort of thing. So science, I had a scientific mind. That was really good because it helped me to then understand, like there's as above, so below, the different like Hermetic axioms and such, to teach me to begin to understand there's a divine intelligence, everything acts according to law and order, there's laws that do this and all that. So I think it's really exciting that these scientists are starting to discover that there is God, which the theists knew all the time. So it's a joy.
Which, of course, is a lot of the cornerstones of the Church of Religious Science, right?
Yeah, and that's that is really is what is going on, is proving the philosophy that we've believed for hundreds, you know, 100 years or more, that there is only one common thing, and the scientists are proving that there is something out there. And then we've been saying that all along, and since there is something out there at the very heart of who we are is created in that sense. And, you know, I know for myself, my BA was in mathematics. So I had a mathematical background, and then my master's in consciousness studies. So being able to shift those two around and being able to bring them together, because there is only one, and you can understand that, and that gives it much more personally, a much more deeper understanding of that power that we're dealing with.
Well, they're all looking for God anyway out there with the Hubble and everything. What it is, but it's like the universe is, my body is a miniature of the universe, and they're showing that as above, so below. So what we're looking at is the material, physical body of God in that manifestation of the physical universe, and we find that even in the body, most of it's space. You know, they say, well, even in this table, it's mostly space. And we look out into the universe, what do we see? Space. And then we see some atoms and some molecules, and we call those planets, and we call them stars, and we call them movements and all that. So as we're viewing out there, what we're doing is we're getting a view of what's in here. And in the very smallest particle of matter, there's an entire universe that's in that. And it all is working according to the same laws. But these laws have to be created by a superior intelligence, because as above, so below. So if laws are created here by human beings, then there are laws that are created on other planets has to be created by a superior being. So we're understanding the unity, but also the diversity, because it's one and the many. So we're not just one blob, we're also individual expressions of that, and everybody's got that free will. The opportunity, if they want to torture themselves and live in hell, then they get to. If they want to live in heaven and have a happy life, they can do that. Everybody's got the choice. Choose what you want.
And that brings us back to, as we were talking this weekend, of the part of honoring our humanness.
Right.
Because, you know, there's 6.5 billion people on this planet right now, or more, and every one of us is a unique, rare, individual expression of this thing called life. And if that wasn't important, we'd all be the same. See, that's why we're individuals coming together in that one common goal to raise the vibrational vibrational pattern of this planet called Earth to some places that we may not understand now, but we just know that there's something else. And it's in that in seeing these ancient teachings and looking at them. And I believe that by looking at those, we're also seeing them in a new way now, because there's some hidden truths under there that we haven't seen yet because we weren't ready for them. But the evolution of the planet Earth right now, we're ready to see those new truths that are coming up, or those new spiritual laws that are, we call them new, but they're just being unfolded.
Right.
Yeah.
And then as they say, like in the ancient teachings of the Vedas, that our scientists were actually mystic yogis in past lifetimes that were able to do these same things that we do by mechanics now, simply by mantras. simply by thoughts. And so it's like a different time and a different age, but it's, you know, someone else could just be anywhere in the moment in a thought. And someone else now, so they have an airplane, or they could see a faster airplane. And it's also a time, the earth is, I feel, in a sense, is a gathering place that we're all aliens, in a sense. Because we come from, you know, different parts within this universe. It says that beings stay within pretty much the same universe as they transmigrate from place to place, depending on their desires of what they want to experience. So I think there's a lot of light workers that have come from, they want to know if there's intelligent life in the universe. Well, we want to make sure there's intelligent life here. And so that we've collected here, because I have a lot of past life memories of things like that. So we've collected here these beings of love and light that have come here to basically make this transition that's happening into the higher dimensions.
It's kind of a playful question. You actually, if you can envision the Galactic Tourism Bureau,
Yeah,
and Earth 2012 is the place to be, which makes you kind of wonder, are we actually evolving children spirits on coming here to learn, or are we evolved spirits on vacation?
We've actually devolved.
To come here?
No,
Oh,
we've devolved over time because the whole system works on cycles. And so because the universe is material, it operates by material laws. And as you can see the same thing, like I had a log house. And after a while, the termites started eating it, you know, and it starts to fall apart. And like the bodies, we've got these physical bodies where they're made of material energy. And no matter how much longevity stuff they're going to do, eventually it starts to deteriorate. But the universe, it'll go through these cycles. Once it gets to the end, it starts another one. So we're at one level, the human race has devolved because we have a brain that has 100% capacity that we're using 5 to 10%.
So you're saying we've devolved
We've
here
devolved
on this
from the
planet.
100% down to the 5, but we can awaken from that and be transcendental to the brain and activate the brain to work the way we want. So it's like in mass, people have actually devolved. In some of the ancient Vedic teachings, it says that human beings are 31 feet tall, which will actually explain how the pyramids were built, because they'd be tiny rocks to people 31 feet tall. So I like studying all that kind of stuff. And then Zachariah Sitchin and a lot of his work and all that. So I've always been like a real explorer, and I like to get into all the things people say don't get into, because it's a wonderful thing. It brings all these different truths together, and you find some kind of a thread, a single thread.
And I think that's why you see what's been evolving in the last 5, 10 years. You know, you look back 10 years ago, and we weren't talking about these things.
Right.
You know, they were hidden, they weren't there. Well, it's as with the vibrational pattern, as we have de-evolved, but we're also now raising
evolving.
that.
Now we're evolving.
The pendulum
Right.
has reached
That's
its
it.
peak, and we're now
go
swinging
back
back the other way. And I think that's why we're seeing so much, you know, you see it on main TV now. Of talking about these things where, you know, a few years ago they were just taboo
usually
to talk
Joel
about.
Osteen talking, who's a fundamentalist Christian, and he's talking about all these wonderful things because this is what Jesus taught.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And all the great masters have taught, and they didn't make up this. This is just, and this is truth that is brought down to us in kind of the realm of the darkness at times to give us the truth, the light, and what is salvation. Saving means knowledge, sacred knowledge, where we save ourselves from ignorance. And there's no beginning to ignorance, but there is an end. And the end comes with knowledge, and then we apply that, and then it works.
So let's reaffirm a little bit about what you're talking about. We're living in a day and age where the circumstances that humanity has collectively placed its in are really forcing our hand as far as what we're going to do next.
Right.
And there's also the appearance of forces that do not necessarily have the best outcome of humanity as a species. There's talk of, you know, the New World Order, the microchipping, these visions for this new humanity.
Demoniac stuff to control people.
And so we have this whole duality happening.
Right.
And one of the things that I really like people to talk about is how it really does boil down to the individual to make these choices, because people often feel very powerless. They're like, what am I going to do? I'm just one person. And reinforcing that knowledge that one person can make a difference, and it all starts with you. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah. Nobody asked me to do what I do. Nobody asked me to write books. Nobody asked me to show up. Nobody asked me to send a postcard to Stanley and said, you know, you want me to speak here? I do this. And I think that's what everybody needs to do, is that you're as powerful as you want to be. And what we sit back and we're helpless and we're lobstering on our back, there's nothing to do. You can do it in your own home. You can do it with when you're in the market. You can apply this. And to me, I'm really excited that I got on this path. Everybody's got power. We're soul power. And if you watch The Matrix, we're batteries. And what we're doing is, because soul power is the greatest power that exists. It's the animating force of the material realm. So when we acknowledge what we are, soul power, we're more powerful than atomic energy, hydrogen energy, solar energy. Because we are the conscious spirit. We are spirit. And we're not matter. But we are the intelligence, the presence, the power, the love behind the matter. So all we need to do is don't play that other game. Don't get involved in it. Don't give your permission to it. Don't say yes to it. Don't sign up for it. When they say they're going to inoculate you, don't do it. Find out how to, when somebody tells you you're terminal ill, and you're going to have to cut off your arms, your legs, your nose, your face, and all this, go find another way. Don't just be sheep and following what we're told, because we're real. Why are people breeding fear? Because they're going to make money from it. And so that really is the thing. We have to start to think for ourselves. And we're gathering together as a collective. And that power is gaining strength all the time. And that is the power that nobody can compute. That's the power that nobody can control. That's the power. It's when we ourselves as a spiritual being, we know who we are, and we focus on that. There is no power that can overtake us.
And that's that, you know, in the sense that what you ask, it's a matter of a choice, you know. And what I believe is one of the only things that we were really giving dominion over was the way that we think. And you can decide which side of the ledger you want to be on. You can be on the side of the ledger for good, or you can be on the side of the ledger for fear. And your power and your presence is no different. Your energy, there's not anyone that has more than anyone else. We're all the same. It's our consciousness and our conscious awareness of the use of that power, and on which side we're trying to use it for. So if we're trying to use that power for fear, and you know, then that's what's going to happen. And if you want to know if there's fear in the world, you know, pick up a newspaper, turn on the TV, you're going to find it there. Or you can just decide not to. It is.
Fear's big business.
Right. It is a big business. But you know what's even a bigger business? Is this compassion, this strength, this power, this honoring each other. That's where we're moving into. If I was going to invest, I'd invest in that company than I would in fear, because I think fear is losing its power.
Yes,
it's losing its because people are going, there's something more to life, and I do not need to live my life this way. And they're making choices in empowerment instead of disempowering each other. And so that's why I think that big business and fear is just not going to work. I'd rather invest in something that's going to be that'll bring that compassion, that love, and that joy to the world, and we're going to move that. It's a given. That's the choice that I've chosen.
And it's what Stanley says is investing, because we invest it by giving it our attention. We give it by saying yes and agreeing to it. We give it by buying into it. We give it by acting. I have this thing called We Vote With Our Dollars. And you know, you can cheat in voting in the election booth. They've got it all rigged, whatever it is, so who cares? But they can't control our money. Right. And this, I think, is why there's organic milk in the stores. Why? Because people want it and they make it pay. So what you do is, not that you have to boycott something, just don't choose it. Choose something else. Yeah. And that's why you focus on, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah, because the boycott is really
against.
Is against, yeah.
We're
and you're
for.
not. It's for. Yeah, we're not against anything. It's what we're for. I'd rather, you want to see what you stand for, not what you stand against. And because stand against is actually buying into it. Yeah.
You buy into it and you give it power. So
we
don't care about them. We just focus on where we're going. We get as many people to go along with us as they can.
as wants to.
Yeah.
We've built an entire global economy and an entire society, especially here in the United States, with the great new church of consumerism. And it seems that what we're dealing with right now is they can prop it up all they want, but it's not going to work because the model doesn't work.
No, it doesn't
the
work.
model of, it was last night in an interview I did called trinketism. We can't any longer be living by how much we can buy tomorrow and how much we can borrow to buy that. This is going to be a very bitter pill for humanity to swallow collectively, but we have to do it.
Yes.
So,
but you know what? Some of the people aren't planning on this because they think they're going to tell us a bunch of lies again. And it's that everybody's going to fall. But they've underestimated the power of the American public. I'll tell you, I'm starting to understand why people say, well, people aren't buying. No, because they're smartening up. They don't care if that system falls. You know, as I said earlier, you know, in the talk was that, but before was, there was that sign on the billboard of the freeway that said, if you had all the money in the world, the rest of us would use something different. And that's that sense. There's bartering, there's trading, there's people have victory gardens again. Help your neighbors, do all this stuff. And I'm thinking that the spirit of the American public and the people that are going to rally around this, they're not going to be taken like a fish on a hook again. We've already been that, and it's like the same Ponzi thing works over and over. They do the same scheme, happens every time. People fall for it because of greed. But if we start waking up, we are prosperous. We are abundant. We are opulent. We don't have to buy into that system.
And I think one of the things you said, though, it is a global economy now. You know, before we could be isolated, and what was going on around the world, you know, was our way of being able to use them. But I don't think it works that way anymore, because globally people are going, we're not going to take it anymore. So it's not just the American people that are
but we're a melting pot. So what I meant was America. We've got people from every nation who have families in those other places who are influenced. So this is where, and this has been the hope in ancient times of saying America would rise. And it's because we are this melting pot. Everybody's here.
And that's why we're moving into that. That's why it is a global economy, and it hasn't worked. Well, it's worked up to here. See, that it's been really, it has worked, but it no longer works. So it's now time for that shift to happen.
Yeah, but the system, what you said, what did you call it, the paradigm or whatever on which it worked, was always fake.
It was a flawed concept, because it could only survive as long as there was this endless consumption.
That's right.
And there's those who say that there's going to be a great equalization of wealth across the planet so that everybody can enjoy a decent lifestyle.
That's right.
If they quit building weapons, they could feed the world 5 times over. So from here to there, what do you see happening?
Well, first of all, what I sense is people need to know that they are the employers of the public servants. And what we're being treated as if we're the employees or the flunkies. And so what happens, their money comes from us and what we do. And that we're even in the market, what we buy. And as I go look at a market, there's so much stuff. There's no food in there, hardly any food, because none of it's nutritious. None of it feeds us. But they've been programmed on television and everything to want this, because the ad agencies and also big business years ago learned psychology. They learned how to create endless desires in people. So people are running after all this stuff, and they got to get it and get it. And so what people have to do, they have to do it on an individual basis, is to realize, to really focus on what they want. They want happiness, they want love, they want joy, they want to have a good time. But that's who we are. We're a home entertainment center already.
And I think that's where, you know, the comment that you made earlier, and where does it start? It starts with one person. And that one person is making that decision. And then all of a sudden you make that decision, and all of a sudden you're going to see 10 people around you making the same type of decision. That we want to know what is the truth behind it. And it's harder to hide the truth anymore than it was before. And I think that's what our leaders are finding out, that the truth just doesn't work anymore.
They're our employees. They're not our leaders. We're the leaders. They're our employees. And we need to direct them where we want to go, where we want us to go. And if they're not getting a job, we need a class action suit on every world leader, a so-called world leader who was our employee for the last few years. They did a bum job. They should be fired. We should, you know, but people don't think of that. We're the employers.
Absolutely. And what you're saying, you know, what's really great about what you're saying is that on the surface, you guys are coming from a whole different background and place as some of the other people that we talk to. Everybody's coming from a different perceived avenue and angle, but the same message is being put out. And we talk to people that, you know, Buddhists will get up here and they'll have this conversation and they'll say the same thing. Or we'll get a Mayan elder come, you know, he just got up here on an airplane, and he's talking about quantum physics and discoveries of humanity. And so this knowledge, the more people seek it, the more it gels in the collective consciousness, and it's working. It's
And the more
working.
people
need to
like you
understand
are
that.
doing what you're doing. Nobody told you you had to do this show, and this is what you want to do. This is how you make a difference. This is how you do it. And that's what people need to be activists in that sense, of they take that wonderful philosophy and at least share it with somebody. And they live it.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, for what we've done here, what we've done this
Absolutely.
weekend,
This
and
is
how
gonna
we were
reach
brought
thousands of
together to
people.
be able to bring this together, and it really will change people's lives from this, what we've done this weekend. I know that to be a truth.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's knowledge, because a lot of stuff I didn't know. I was suffering out there. I had no idea. And I was just so glad that there was a church, a spiritual place that taught these principles, teachings of Jesus, and also quantum physics. We had that, and the teachings of the masters. And I don't know how or why, but somehow, and I think through my great-grandmother, whatever, I went to the place that had the answers. It wasn't taught, you know, years ago in psychology or philosophy. They didn't know anything about this. So I'm just, you know, the answers are there, but people have to go for them.
And I think the tangents are no longer, they don't have the strength they used to have. It's a lot harder now to say, my belief system is different from yours because my teacher teaches on Thursday.
Right.
It's not working.
No.
And huge establishments built on this are beginning to come apart at the seams and fray at the edges. And
Right.
the people are demanding that these common truths be shared and that all of this recklessness of belief be abandoned. And that's happening on an individual
Well,
level.
it's violence. We have to renounce violence as God's plan for humanity. And that has been taught. And a lot of my studies show that Zoroaster was the one who basically introduced violence, that God was an angry, mean, vengeful God, and that we were evil, no good sinners from the beginning of time. Introduced it into Judaism, which then got filtered into Islam, and it got filtered into Christianity. And so that whole thing, that the more we're punished, the better we are. And so then we're going to punish people so they're good, and then we punish ourselves.
Yeah, and
There's no way that punishment makes a person a good person.
Right.
And what it is that we are love. And when we start to understand that, we renounce violence as God's plan for humanity. It's a lie, it's not the truth, and it never has been. God is loving, kind, wonderful. We are loving, kind, wonderful. It's who we are. And then we got to start acting as we are. That's the message.
Yeah, and it's the foundation of really of what we're doing in the Sedona Church of Religious Sciences. You know, it's that taking all of this knowledge and expressing it, and really coming back to that one truth that we are. People want to know that they're loved and that they're loving, and that's what this is all about. And I know that it works, and I see it in the face of every person that I've met, that, you know, when that light goes on, it's just it's a miracle in a way, because you know that something has been touched in their heart, and the truth of them is now being able to be expressed into everyone that they meet.
And you know, it's got to be taught in schools too. You know, and it's like the real gift is like, children are dumbed down. We've been dumbed down, repressed, suppressed, repressed. You know, instead of knowing who they are. They're divine beings with mystic powers. They're beautiful. They're geniuses. And to be told, well, you're stupid, you can't express yourself, you're dumb, we're going to beat you up. This is insanity. And you got mental institutes full of wonderful people who can't control their minds, and they've been put there by other people who are beating on them. And so it's like we have to take a stand for what works, and take a stand for love. And we're not against anybody. You know, we feel sorry for them. We have compassion, and you know, you just go out and spread our propaganda of what's true.
And that's where the power lies. And everybody, that's the message. It's all up to you. Take a stand. I know you guys are running late, so I appreciate it. And thank you for being here.
Oh,
Right.
thank you.
Thanks, Ron. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Ron. You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
So beautiful. Well, welcome everybody. We're so glad that you're here. Sedona Church of Religious Science is so excited.
It's the song of